welcome to Franchise Tribe Scale. So I wanted to bring up Dan Fleyshman, who is a guy that I first saw at one of Bedros Keuilian's events, and just couldn't believe what I was hearing, the amount of knowledge that he was dropping on social media. So Dan's the youngest founder of a publicly traded company, the youngest founder of a publicly traded company in history, after licensing his apparel for $9.5 million at the age of 19. He went on to scale the energy drink products into 55,000 retail stores. Over the years, Dan's launched one of the top 5 poker sites globally, has thrown 37 elevator nights, co-founded the 100 million mastermind experience, spoken at over 200 business events, angel invested with 36 companies. And I think these numbers are low right now. And his agency, Elevator Studio, has spent over $60 million with social media influencers for fashion brands, film studios, mobile apps, and consumer products. His main passion, and I absolutely know this is his main passion, is Model Citizen Fund charity, which creates backpacks for the homeless, and they fill them with 150 emergency supplies inside of them. So Dan, welcome, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
100%. So I've been telling these guys all about you, and you could have gone so many different directions, from personal branding, talking about masterminds, to social media, to you name it. And so, or investing. I've learned a lot about you from investing. But today, can we dive into social media? As you know, most of these people are franchisees in their local markets, multi-brand, multi-units. And I thought nobody better to talk social media than you.
Yep. So I want to dive right into it. I think there's one main struggle for franchisees and franchisors on the social media side is that they have to be either their own unique social media accounts, because you're not posting from the parent company, from the main franchise brand's account. And so I'll just walk you through different ways you can do it with each platform, where parent company is still happy, they're fine there with what you're doing, but it still gives your staff, team, executives, managers, etc., feeling like they're being able to create unique content. So what we did, we had that issue with Everbowl, which is our acai bowl chain, where parent company wasn't even that great at social media. They were, making pictures of bowls of fruit, and there's only so many ways you can make that. And each individual location was struggling, right? We started popping up the different Everbowls in different cities. And then we were trying to make content for Parent Co., and we never talked about any other store except when they had a grand opening or some major event. Outside of that, nobody got any love. And so what we did was each unique city or each unique county or each unique location had their own social media account. So for you guys, you're going to want to think about if you can make one. There's some brands you may not be able to make one for, like you're not going to make one for Subway, right? There's some that you're not going to be able to make Subway, New Jersey, by the post office. Like, there's just not a way to make when there's 700 Subways in the area. There's going to be some brands you may not be able to do this for. What you can do is for your team or for your staff or your team, make them some type of a social media account where it's something fun for them to be able to work off of, that doesn't necessarily have the name of that brand at that location or in that city. For the brands that you can do that for my sports card store, for example, we have Cards and Coffee, and then we have Cards and Coffee SLC, which is Salt Lake City. We're now opening San Diego, which we're already finished, and it'll be Cards and Coffee SD. Then after this call, I'm literally getting a lease in Tampa. It'll be Cards and Coffee Tampa. And so as we do each city, we just make a unique social media account for that city, still using the brand name. So you have to decide for yourself, if you're working with a humongous brand, you may not be able to do this. If you cannot do it where you can't use the brand name, make one that's a fun name for the group, meaning like add the word team, squad, etc. So in this example, it could be Cards and Coffee Team or Everbowl Team. Does that make sense? So it may not be the actual corporate brand, but you're still going to want to have it. And here's why. The parent company, the franchisor, they're going to give you obviously that X amount of percentage of marketing help that you're paying for, right? You're paying usually 3 to 6%, sometimes as low as 1 or 2% for your marketing fees. And then they're usually just doing general corporate marketing, and it's not necessarily localized to your town or your city. And so it's important for you to have localized social media because it's free, right? Outside of having one staff member dealing with it and working with it, there's no real costs. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and TikTok are free, and free, right? And same with YouTube. And so because the top 7 accounts are free and you have staff that is not busy from the moment they open to the moment they close, there is ways to make content. If you have some really, really rockin' busy location that's just, there's no way they can focus on it, it's very easy to then bring in a staff member to come in from your organization to go buy the different locations to make content. And I say that because if it's that busy, then you can afford to bring someone in. And these people are not that expensive. I'm talking about a couple grand a month type person. This is not a $10,000 a month thing. You don't need that. For the most part, your staff members at franchise locations are usually high school and college kids and people in their 20s and early 30s. And so outside of your managers and executives, a lot of your staff that's in their 20s and 30s that are working at your restaurant or your dry cleaner, et cetera, they're going to understand how to do social media. You're just going to guide them. So meaning they know how to play with all these different platforms. You're just want to guide them on what you want to happen. And what you want to happen is at least one post a day. So you're going to hear different experts say all different numbers and all different concepts of you should post 20 times a day. And this, all you want is basic top of mind awareness. So if someone needs to get their dry cleaning today, or someone wants to get their sandwich today, or someone wants an acai bowl, or someone wants whatever type of brand or franchise you have, you want that once a day for what's called top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness is important because this is also why I post at 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. every day. My posts go up at 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. The reason is I either want to hit them in the morning so they think about me throughout the day, or I want to hit them at the end of the day when they're leaving work or school so they think about me that night. And I alternate between 9 a.m. 5 p.m. because those are the main times that people are either arriving at work or school or leaving work or school. And so you'll notice on my content, it's always right around 9 a.m. or always right around 5 p.m., give or take an hour at the most. You're not going to see me posting at 11:40 p.m. ever. There's a big reason for that. Ready? This is a big secret. Ready? Only post when people are awake. That's the secret. So there's a lot of experts out there. They're like, you should post at 3 in the morning because there's unique engagement. Yeah, because the people at 3 in the morning they can't sleep. That's it. And there's this tiny amount of them. And of course they're engaging with your content because nobody else is posting. But in reality is you want to post when people are awake and when they're functional. Someone at 3 in the morning is not making purchasing decisions about going to your local restaurant or going to go to your dry cleaner, et cetera. At 3 in the morning, they're just a zombie looking through content because they can't sleep. So 9 a.m. is the main time, depending on your city. And give or take an hour, you can do it at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. But really 9 a.m. is kind of that key moment. And you want to do it cross-platform. And this part's going to sound overwhelming. You're going to want to be posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, et cetera, pretty much at the same exact moment. You're just copying and pasting the exact same photo or video with the exact same caption. So what that means is, to be really, really blunt, you do not need a fancy platform. You don't need one login to post on all the different accounts because it's too easy to do what I'm going to tell you. You just copy and paste the exact same caption and you just use the exact same photo or video on the main platforms, and that's it. The only thing this doesn't work for is YouTube, which you don't need to post on YouTube daily anyways. You only need to post on YouTube once in a blue moon. And LinkedIn should only be business specific content. So you're not posting about the local dog day on LinkedIn. So if you have puppy day at your franchise restaurant, you're not posting that on LinkedIn. But business related content goes on LinkedIn, and you do want to be posting on LinkedIn because it is like a true social media platform, which we'll get to in a moment. So the other main platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it's the exact same content. You do not need to make unique content for them. You just need to post on a daily basis once a day. If you do that, if you create that content once a day, you now put yourself in a position to have top of mind awareness. Now, the next thing is, to not sound overwhelming, you can pre-make this content. You do not need to be actively having your staff doing social media every day. So even though you're posting every day, you don't have to actively be creating content every day. That is not necessary. So why? Well, social media for the most part is not time sensitive. unless there's some special holiday or it's Super Bowl Sunday, 4th of July, which are things you already know in advance anyway. Outside of those days, holidays, etc., you don't need to be creating daily content, and you could create that content in advance. So what I advise is you usually pick an off day like a Saturday or Sunday. I usually do Sunday mornings, and I block out a couple hours, 8 a.m. to 11, 9 a.m. to 12, etc. And during those 2 or 3 hours, I'm making a bunch of content for the entire month. During that couple hours, we're doing tutorial videos, we're doing explanation videos, we're showcasing the new food. Let's just use Everbowl or my card store, for example. During those couple hours, we're showing all the new sports cards, all the new Pokemon cards, all the new, like we're doing a bunch of content. And then our editors are chopping that up throughout the month to post it. But we're not doing that every single day. For the acai bowl place, we're knocking out a whole bunch of content. There's usually 1 or 2 videographers at the same time. One of them is doing photo, one of them is doing video, then they alternate. During that time, we're showing them how to make this acai bowl, how to make this holiday bowl, how to make this colorful bananas and blueberries and kiwi exploding out of it. Like, you're just making fun little pieces of content. None of them are long form content. All the content I'm talking about is 15 to 60 seconds. This is not making 4-minute YouTube videos. This is not making long form IGTV. The most content you should be making is 15 to 60 seconds, because we live in an ADD society. People want to see fast form content nowadays, and it's scarier because it's getting shorter and shorter. The number keeps getting faster and faster and lower because we keep getting more and more ADD, because all of us are bombarded by so much content and so many ads and so many videos and so many photos every single day, and text messages and WhatsApp and Telegram and Discord, and there's just so much content being thrown at us that sadly our attention spans are getting lower and lower. And so making content that's short form and bite-sized is going to work way better than anything long form. Should you still do long form occasionally? Of course, you still want to have that, but for the most part, short form content that is not fancy edited. Let me repeat, you do not need fancy editing, fancy graphics. Should you do it sometimes and hire fancy editors sometimes? Sure. You're going to get 600 to 800% more engagement on your content that's done just like this with your phone, compared to a red cam and editors working on it for 3 days straight. That content, should you still have it occasionally? Yes. Why is this one going to get 600% more engagement? Because the fancy red cam video with the flashing lights and the fire coming out and all the graphics and closed captioning feels like an ad or a commercial. And so what do we all do when we see ads and commercials? Either get upset about it, we scroll by it, or we change the channel. Whether it's the radio, television, social media, we always do everything we can to avoid commercials because we've been bombarded by them. So any fancy content you do with the fancy red cam and the fire and the lights is going to usually get lower engagement than just pulling out your phone and making good content. What is good content? Good content is things that entertain people, make them laugh, teach them something, or is shareable. So some kind of interesting information or unique information. So for a lot of you guys that have restaurants or franchise in the food space, teaching them how to make the sandwich, or teaching them how to make the acai bowl, or teaching them how to make the steak and eggs, or the brownies, or the cupcakes, or the fried chicken, or the Subway sandwich, teaching them that is not going to lose you a single customer. They're still not going to do it. Everybody already knows that they could cook if they wanted to. They still go to the restaurant, right? So showing them how to make the fancy sandwich or the fancy acai bowl or the fancy steak and eggs or etc. will not lose you a single customer. However, what it will do is make people think about you emotionally, which keeps them the top of mind awareness. Emotionally is because if you make good food content or whatever type of franchise you have, it could be dry cleaning, the same concept. Just because you teach them how to clean better at their homes does not mean they're actually going to clean at their homes, right? They're still going to go to the dry cleaner. Same thing with accounting, same thing with legal. Just because people know how to do legal work or know how to do accounting, they still hire accountants and they still hire lawyers. Same way they're still going to go to your dry cleaner. Even if you teach them how to do it, they're still going to use you out of convenience. So making content that teaches them something is going to make it shareable. Why is it shareable? Because what seems easy to you looks like magic to us on the other side of the screen. So what seems easy to you at the dry cleaner, or let's say you own a place that makes locks, right? You own a franchise on keys and locks and security. That's magic to us because none of us know how to freaking make a new key or a new lock or how to get into our house or how to pick a lock or how to do anything. You know how to do it. It looks like magic to us. We don't know how to make acai bowls. We don't know how to make fancy steak and eggs. We don't know how to make any of the things that we take for granted as the franchisee. The fans, the audience, the followers, the people, the family, even the staff, it looks like magic to them. And so making content, teaching them about certain parts of your business or certain parts of your product, the benefits of it, why it's interesting, why it's unique, why it's colorful, why it's fun, why it's useful, it makes people want to share it because it makes them look good, whether they're reposting it or they're forwarding the message. They're forwarding it to other people. The people that they forward to are your best potential customer because they would never forward to someone that doesn't find it interesting. Does that make sense? Meaning, I'll give you an example. I was a first investor many years ago, something called Dollar Beard Club. So it's a monthly box for beards, right? On launch day, I had 11,800 members sign up for a monthly recurring program. I didn't spend any money on the launch. What I did was I had 100 different female related accounts post a video about beards. Makeup accounts and beauty accounts were posting about beards. I don't know if you guys know, but I don't know any girls that have beards, right? I've heard about it in the carnival before, but I don't know a single one. The reason I had 100 accounts that are all female related, beauty and makeup accounts, was every single girl either has a dad, boyfriend, husband, brother, uncle, cousin with a beard, or their female friend has a dad, uncle, cousin, brother, husband with a beard. And so I knew that they would forward the video, the funny video about the beards, to exactly people that either have a beard or like a beard. That's it. They're not going to show it to anyone else. So if Chris Sapp doesn't have a beard, nobody's going to forward him the Dollar Beard Club. He doesn't need it. He doesn't like it. He wants to be clean shaven. So what? Nobody's going to forward it to him. But if Stacey Barnes has a beard, they're going to forward it to him. Does that make sense? So they're only going to forward to their customer. So we got 11,800 paid members in our first day of launch, literally posting only on women's accounts. You see the concept? If you make interesting content, funny content, or shareable content, and you're teaching them something or showing them something that they can share with their friends or family, they're only going to show it to people that care about your products. Only. There's no other point to send it to anyone else. And so when you think about it, every part of the process I just said was free. Outside of the staff member that makes that photo or video, everything's free. So what's your risk? There's no downside, there's no cost to it. But your upside is, what if they send it off and then someone hires you for catering and they have 80 staff and they hire you for catering once a month, and all of a sudden you're getting a $6,000 order every single month for the next, whatever, couple of years. What if they send it to the local high school or college and they start booking you for catering for the local high school or college, or the local corporation that has 800 employees? Downside is zero, so your risk basis is zero. Upside is you get a lot more eyeballs, you get some catering. I'm just using restaurant franchises as the example. You get a bunch more catering, etc. Same thing applies for dry cleaning. Same thing applies for any type of franchise you have. If corporate accounts are interesting to you, it would be insane not to make content, because corporate accounts are constantly looking for localized things, and they're constantly looking for things that stand out. And the big advantage is you're up against most people, I don't know the actual number, but it's probably 99%, that don't do any social media content for their local franchise. They just don't. And so if you know you don't have competition in your space, and if you did have competition, you should still do it, but you probably don't have competition in your space. If you do have anybody else doing social media content in your local town for your franchise, that still doesn't matter. You should still do it. But you're either at par up against someone, or you're crushing them, or you have no one. In every single version of that, you should be doing social media content. Now, why deal on all the platforms? The reason that you want to be on all the platforms, the word I always use is omnipresence. The reason you want omnipresence to be on all the platforms is you don't know where your customers or future customers or future partners, investors, etc. live. You don't know where they exist. You don't know if they love Twitter. You don't know if they like Facebook. You don't know if they like Instagram. You don't know if they like TikTok. And so you want to be on all of them. Again, cost is nothing different by being on all of them. Time of difference is a few minutes total. Literally taking the exact same caption, the exact same photo, and repost, copy and pasting on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Nothing else. You do not need to spend any time on anything else as that part of it on the posting side. Now, if you want your staff member to dive inside of social media and really work on this thing, you're actually going to have an employee that you pay a couple grand a month to just focus on this. They can do it from anywhere. I like it better if they're in your local town, but they can do it from anywhere. Someone can be feeding them content and sending them content, even if they live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you're in New York. They could technically do it from anywhere. I just like them being in local town because I like them to be able to show up and make Instagram stories and make quick content and be able to show up and like kind of lead the photography and video. But it's actually not that necessary. I just prefer it because I like people to be able to walk in and do content for us. When they make that content, their goal is to make short form, shareable content that's interesting or educational and funny sometimes. Now, with that being said, there are a few things you have to avoid. Okay. Franchises and companies in general should not get into the politics game because 50% of your audience already agrees with you. And the other 50% will never agree with you no matter what. So you're playing a game that you literally can't win. You can't get them to agree with you more than 100% because they already agree with you. And these people are never going to change their mind. Quick example. If we took a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter and we locked them into a room for the next hour and we did it every day for 30 days and we let them just sit there, discuss it, argue it, excited, mad, and every other emotion for 30 days, never are they ever going to walk out of that room and be like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to switch. I like Trump now. Ever. Zero. Not 1%, just zero. Same thing if I take a Jewish person, a Muslim person, they're never going to come out, and that's okay. You're never going to change their mind in that scenario. They can go in there for 30 days, discuss all their religions, all their politics, etc. They're never going to walk out and be like, you know what? That was a good point. I'm going to switch my religion. It's not going to happen. And so from a company perspective and a franchisee perspective, you don't want to get into battles that you can't win. And you do not want to have situations where you could lose customers, clients, brands, or making the parent company upset with you. It's a complete downside. There's no true upside because the people that agree with you already agree with you. Same thing goes for any racially charged situations or anything big in the news. You should never get involved in it from a corporation side. It's only downside to it. And you're going to alienate people and cause all this arguments within the comment section that you do not want to be dealing with or handle. It's unnecessary. And so when there's a situation in the news, doesn't matter how mad or upset you are with it or how obviously wrong it is, as a company, as a franchisee, there's just no upside to it. And it can only cause friction amongst your staff, amongst your customers, amongst the parent company, amongst other franchisees, amongst your friends, your friend from high school. That you like, everybody has their different emotions to it. So you should be avoiding it completely. There's literally no reason to get involved in situations that are in the media or news, no matter how obviously wrong they are. That is not the job of the corporation. And all we've seen is a lot of them fail over it and lose a lot of market share over it. And you've never seen them have some big win over it because it doesn't matter if it's Nike, Pepsi. We've watched them all do these different silly things trying to get involved in the news, and they should have all just stayed out of it. So you're not talking about religion. You're not talking about politics. You're not talking about sex. You're not talking about anything that's racially charged or in the news to avoid any conflicts. And you have to make sure your staff is very clear about that, because sometimes even just them thinking that they're trying to help by reposting something or posting news articles about a situation, it can only lead to headache. So I make it very clear with all staff that we don't get involved in those type of things. Now, why should you be posting on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? It's not choosing between them. Your Twitter might take off and your Facebook might suck and you still do both. Your Instagram might have 20,000 followers and your TikTok only has 1,000. You still do both. Why would you still post on the TikTok with only 1,000 followers? You don't know if me and Eric are two of those 1,000. You don't know. It would be more interesting to you and more, it could change the whole course of your career if Eric's one of those 1,000 people. And then Eric said, wow, he's got 6 locations in Kentucky. I really like that brand. And then Eric goes and gets a bunch of people together, and all of a sudden now you got 6 locations, you have 36 because Eric decides to get involved and get you a bunch of new partners, investors. You don't know. So downside is nothing. Upside is you just gain 30 new locations and investors and partners because Eric decided you made a funny TikTok video or you made an interesting TikTok video and he shared it with me. I sent it to Chris and Zachary, and then they're like, hey, you know what? I want to put up a couple $100,000 each. And then all of a sudden, the whole group decides we're all going to put up 100K each and open up 30 more locations because of a TikTok video. I know it sounds silly. That's literally, I've watched it happen over and over and over in my life across the board, where someone sees a video and all of a sudden major endorsement deals happen, franchises happen, investments happen, business like literally because someone saw a piece of content. I had it actually happen 2 days ago. No, yesterday. One of my staff members sent me a screenshot. I could actually show it up to the screen. We have a client now for $1.5 million for my social media agency, which normally that's a really big budget to start off with. Normally, most companies start off with 100K type budgets. $1.5 million budget. The guy that hit us up doesn't follow me on social media. He saw a podcast with me and the Wolf of Wall Street from 2 years ago. So he doesn't follow me on social media. He saw an old podcast from 2 years ago when the Wolf's done 100 podcasts since then. Literally just contacts the website, which isn't even made for that because we turn down most clients. So that's not like we don't look for inbound like that. Gets a hold of my guy, Dan Raff, hits him up for $1.5 million budget from what? An interview from 2 years ago. That's why omnipresence matters. Because who knows? Nothing happened for 2 years. So I could have said, you know what? That was stupid. Why did I go on that podcast 2 years ago? It did nothing for me. And then out of the blue, 2 years later, all of a sudden there's this huge client that's an easy one. And I haven't even talked to them yet. They just came inbound through a website and now, boom, they're onboarded. And so I say that because in any business that you're in, any franchise that you're in, being omnipresent, just being out there, can lead to new clients, new investors, new partners, new franchises, new everything. And downside is nothing. And so as a gambling man, I like that, right? I like having zero risk, huge upside. And from a brand perspective and from a staff perspective and partners, investors, et cetera, they'll like seeing your consistent content. They're going to be reposting you all the time. And maybe they don't have that big of a following, right? She's got 200 followers. She's got 2,000. He's got 400. He's got 40,000. They don't have some major followings, but all of a sudden you've got 60 staff and your 60 staff only has a couple thousand followers each. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, we just opened location number 5. Hey, we opened location number 6, and 60 staff are posting it to their thousands of followers each. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it just starts to compound over and over. And as they're posting it, other people are reposting and sharing and thinking about you. And it literally changes the entire course of your business. In the Everbowl example, we literally can't take on more franchises. It's not possible. 242 franchises have paid a deposit for the future. So we're not just sold out. We can't do it anymore. How did it happen? We just started posting on social media. I invested in the company, and then we started doing actual consistent social media, and a bunch of friends invested. And now literally, no, I don't care if anyone bribes, they can't get, doesn't matter how famous they can't get a location. And it's not that this business is any better than any other franchise. It's actually doesn't do the same numbers. Other franchises do better numbers. It's just marketing wise, we brought in a ton of people to post content, and then we had 17 locations, then 18, then 23. Yesterday we opened number 52. Went from 17 to 52 in a year and a half. Nothing else changed besides me coming in and making it popular. So for you guys, the same concept applies. Just by posting on social media, and just by getting your staff to get behind you, your friends, partners, your friends from high school, everyone's going to want to repost it and cheer you on when you open location 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, etc. They're all going to be behind you when you do it. It will be your highest engaged post as well, because they're all going to cheer about it, share it, talk about it, ask you if they can invest, etc. So I'll walk you through each platform real quick, and then we'll go to Q&A. So with Twitter, Twitter's like a news feed. So Twitter's where you're going to have your hardest time growing, but easiest time to potentially go viral. So on Twitter, you're just posting updates. You're posting you're posting content about the locations. You're posting content about the products, whether they're food or service, etc. You're posting about updates or discounts or special prizes or holidays. You're posting about the things that are active with your company. But Twitter is, again, much more like a newsfeed, and it's good for customer service because people can find your address. They can contact you with customer support. They can interact with you easy on Twitter. It's also where you can engage with people. This is also where you can engage with people in your local community by tweeting at them. This is where you can tweet at them, interact with them. You can find potential locations to sell to or sponsor, or the local media, the local radio stations, the local podcasters. Anybody you want to find is on Twitter, and Twitter is the easiest place for them to get contacted by you or your franchise, because they're not getting tons of people messaging at them, and it's better than DMs. So they're almost always going to see it, even if they're super, super big. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he still sees all of his ads. So he's responding to a ton of those. Same thing for you. If you want to hit up corporations, catering, wedding planners, event planners, whatever type of clients that you could get, or type of brokers or affiliates you want to go after, Twitter is going to be one of your easiest platforms to do that. Now, the next platform is Facebook. So Facebook is the most important for local community pages, and you're going to be able to get your full name there. And with Facebook, it makes people in the local town feel part of what you're doing. And it's also where it's like building a true community, right? With the other platforms, it's much more day-by-day postings, and they interact for that post for the day. With Facebook, similar concept, except it feels much more like a community, and you don't necessarily need a big number of followers there. Having a couple thousand people on your Facebook page is a big deal because they are part of your tribe. And so your content there is same with all the other platforms. It's just you're once a day, you're posting about your place, you're posting about your products, you're posting about your services, you're posting about what you do, but you're also posting about questions. So on Facebook, you can ask questions or ask for referrals or post about when you're hiring. That content will do really well. That when you post about hiring, it actually leads to a bunch of sales. What do I mean by that? So let's say you post about hiring, like, hey guys, we're opening a new location in Minnesota. We're looking to hire this person, this person, this person, this type of people. What's going to happen is your 2,000 followers on Facebook, 63 of them are going to then forward it to potential candidates or repost your content on their pages. The fact that you're hiring Minnesota. What does that do for you? Well, one, it gets you potential candidates to come work for you. But even bigger than that, those 63 people just went out and forwarded and posted about you for free. And by the way, they have following in Minnesota, or they wouldn't have done it. Right? So some of your best potential people are now posting about you for free. It edifies you because you're hiring, right? So only a company that's cool or functional or doing good is hiring. So it makes you look good. It makes you look strong. And now they're posting about you in your new local community before you even got there and starting to build a buzz that you're coming to town to hire. So emotionally, people are excited that you're hiring in their local community. Brand-wise, you look good because you're hiring in the local community. Potential staff members are going to come in. And now when you're going to do your grand opening, guess who else is going to post about you? The same people and more. So now when you're going to open your new Subway location or your new lock picking location, whatever you make keys, whatever type of location or franchise you have, they're going to post about you when you're hiring. They're going to post about you usually the week before your grand opening, and they're definitely going to post about you after your grand opening when you post photos and videos from that. They feel a part of your brand because they helped you with the hiring process. Even if you never hired anybody that they referred, they feel a part of your brand emotionally. And so now they want to post about you multiple times because they're part of your journey. They're part of your brand. Guess what? You never met them. You never talked to them. You never paid them. You wouldn't even know who they are if they walked in right now. You might know them as a screen name, and they're out there posting about you for free. The next one is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is actually like an actual social media platform now because they added likes, comments, shares, photo, and video. They also added engagement so you can actually see how much reach you have. And so what's interesting is on LinkedIn, 100% of the people on LinkedIn have a job or want a job. That's it. And so because of that, they're much better from a user base compared to all the other platforms because there's no 13-year-olds on LinkedIn. So you don't have any noise. It's only people, not even 18 enough. They're mostly in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. There's not really much even on the teenager side. And so because of that, you know that they're on a platform that's business related. So even if you only have 600 followers there, those 600 followers are business related. And when they reshare or they think about you, it's much more business related. And so you can actually get expanded reach on LinkedIn because people share that content. I've had things on my LinkedIn get 100,000, 200,000 views that are just me posting about normal business stuff. I posted over here and I got 600 views. I posted on this platform, I got 12,000 views. But then on LinkedIn, I got 100,000 or 200,000 views. I would be happy with 1,000 views on LinkedIn because those 1,000 people are business related. And so LinkedIn is useful to post occasionally. You're not going to be able to post there every day because your content has to be somewhat business related to post there. But when you have grand openings, when you have hirings, when you have something interesting about your business or you're teaching them something about your business, definitely post on LinkedIn. Really good people. Next one is Instagram. So Instagram is your most visual platform. Instagram is the one that you should be making your content for and then repurposing for all the other platforms. So repurposing is the word you use to your staff. Their goal is to make the content for Instagram or Facebook, then repurpose it on Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Repurposing is just the fancy word for taking the same photo and putting it somewhere else. So on Instagram, you actually have multiple social media platforms within one platform. What that means is you have the main feed, which is where people mostly live. That's where you're swiping up and down and you're watching people's main posts. But then you have IGTV, which is its own world. These are videos that are over 1 minute. They really go up to like 5-10 minutes. So when you're doing long form content, it's going to go on IGTV. Completely different audience. Instagram shows a completely different amount of people. I know it's weird, but IGTV is kind of like its own world and you don't really need to use it much. I don't really do videos over 60 seconds unless I have to. I just don't enjoy it for the fact that I know people on Instagram are not living in IGTV the way that they are in the main feed, but I still do it occasionally. There's something called Reels, Reels. Reels is pointless from the sense that it's short form video content, which is what the main feed is. So nobody has any idea why they created Reels when it's just 15 to 60 second videos on a 15 to 60 second video platform. I have no idea why they created Reels. They think it's competition to TikTok. They could have just made their main feed better, just like it used to be, and not have a non-chronological platform, which hopefully they're bringing back now. As they said 2 days ago, they're actually bringing back chronological. But anyways, Reels exist, so you should use it. Reels are going to be more, actually, I don't do 60-second Reels, 15 to 30 seconds. Nice and short and sweet. Those type of pieces of content. By the way, it literally is its own little platform within the platform. You don't even see it in the main feed the same way. It's got its own little section. So IGTV and Reels are kind of like the same thing as a main feed. They're just for short content or long content. Then you have Instagram stories. Instagram stories is where a lot of people live mostly on Instagram because it's just easy for them to tap through and enjoy the experience and only look at things that they want to. Instagram stories, you should just have a few stories a day. On a busy day, you could have 5 to 10 stories. If you have like 30 stories in your Instagram story section, if you have like 20, 30 stories up there and people see all those little dots and there's too many little dots, people are just going to skip through the whole thing. Not skip through one at a time, just literally skip over you. So it's very rare you ever want to have dozens of Instagram stories in the same day. less is more when it comes to Instagram stories. It's better to have good content in there that shows behind the scenes. You're at an event, you're opening up the store, you're closing the store, you're got new clients, you have customer appreciation, you're making something's happening. That's when you're using stories. But if you post there and there's 46 stories, people are going to skip over because they're going there for really short form content. By the way, the DMs are almost like their own platform, meaning Instagram DMs are so functional because most people can see them, interact with them. And it's a great way for you to reach out to other potential partners, affiliates, brokers, corporate catering, corporate events, corporations, executive staff, potential staff, everything can happen inside the DMs. And so it's almost like its own little platform where you're just out there interacting, and you're going to get a lot of people inbound reacting to you. So you want someone that's on your staff, they should also be inside the DMs. And the other thing your staff member can do is they should be liking and commenting on other potential people in your local community that are in, let's just use, if you have a restaurant, for example, that are potential people to hire you guys for catering, events, weddings, etc. You should have someone in there engaging with all the other wedding planners, event planners, etc. in your local community. Again, it costs you nothing, but you get one catering gig, or you get one wedding, or you get one corporate booking. It pays for months and months of that staff member. And so it's very useful to have someone in there engaging in that space. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You notice I didn't mention Snapchat because Snapchat is useless. It's the most gorgeous platform that's absolutely useless because you can't build any engagement on there. There's no community there. It's really meant for kids to be able to text with each other, and it's ephemeral, so it disappears. And it's just a useless platform. So can you post on there? You can. It doesn't hurt you. It's free, but it's just not, there's not really much of a point simply because it's fast form content where people can't engage with you. And so I don't like that part of it. If you want to post there or your staff wants to post there, don't stop them. There's nothing wrong with posting there. There's obviously zillions of users there. It's just not anything you can engage on, and you can't post your good content there. And then YouTube. So YouTube is long form content. Even if you just post there every month or two, these are longer videos, 1 minute to 10 minutes. You can do some more than 10-minute videos too, which do well. That has to be really like teaching. That's where you're gonna do the best there. It's hard to entertain someone. It's hard to be funny for many minutes, but teaching does really well there. So showcasing the behind the scenes or an event or how to set up your product or why people need your services or why it's important to use. Let's say you have an H&R block as your franchise and you want to teach about accounting, then you can make 10, 20-minute videos about accounting. And then the last platform is TikTok. So people think TikTok is just for 13-year-olds dancing around. It's not. They have nearly 1 billion users and growing. Adults, corporations have huge followings on there. And even people with small followings can get millions and millions of views because the algorithm is so good on TikTok that you might only have 2,000 followers, but still get 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, millions of views sometimes just for making good content or shareable content. And so TikTok is a very interesting platform because you can go viral there. There's a lot of corporations doing well there. The best thing to do, by the way, to figure out what content you should post is look at your competitors. See what they're posting about, and some of it's going to suck and you'll be able to see that it sucks because you'll see the engagement. Some of it's going to do extremely well and you'll know that because you'll see the engagement. And just literally scroll through. So if you have a Subway, go look at what Jimmy John's is doing. If you have whatever, a fried chicken place, go look at all the other fried chicken places. Like look at what other restaurants in your space are doing. Look at whatever type of franchise you have, look at what they're doing. Just check out their content and see what the engagement looks like. If you notice they normally get 20 comments, 20 comments, 20 comments, and now it's something that they have 300 comments, ding, 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 ding. They just showed you what does really well. If they have 1,000 views, 1,000 views, 1,000 views, and then 17,000 views, ding, 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 ding. It doesn't cost you anything to just scroll through or have a staff member scroll through and look at what your competitors are doing above you, similar size as you, and smaller than you, because the smaller ones are really nimble, and just kind of see what are they up to and see what type of content they're creating and then pick and choose what works for you. So those are all the platforms. Those are all the reasons. Eric, if you want to open up to some Q&A.
Yeah, let's open it up to some Q&A. I think Ryan Casey had a question, and Zach Lees before Ryan. Why don't you ask your question? But before that, there's a lot of people that their audience is soccer moms. Try, whether it's fitness or food, soccer moms seems to be an audience that a lot of people want to get into, and a lot of them hang out in Facebook groups. Neighborhood Facebook groups or some of the bigger Facebook groups. How do you break into the soccer mom community?
Sure. Obviously, I'm selling acai bowls and sports cards, so those are very kid-friendly, soccer mom related. So what we do is we make content that's really family-friendly. We also are never selling, meaning if we just make content that's visual, fun, colorful, interesting, shareable, etc., they will be our ambassadors. And so when we have a grand opening, we focus on the soccer moms. Hey, yesterday was in South Carolina. We're coming to South Carolina. The first 300 people will get a free bowl. What do the moms do? They rally the kids together and they go get fruit, right? Acai bowls. Same thing with the sports cards. We're posting, hey guys, we're giving out 100 packs of Pokemon this Friday. Come on by. What do the moms do? Bring their kids over. It's not that we're giving up that much value, right? Acai bowls cost a few dollars. Pokemon cards cost a few dollars. It's not like I'm giving out that much value, but for them, it's they know that their kids like it and it's family friendly, right? I'm talking about Pokemon and fruit, right? And so making it family friendly is really important, and making it where you're not pitching or selling is very important. And so if you're infiltrating a Facebook group or you're infiltrating a local community group, you have to keep your content very family friendly, and you have to make it never feel like you are pitching to them, but you're teaching to them or making fun for them or giving them something or sponsoring the local. By the way, if you sponsor the local soccer team for a whopping $300 or $500, they're going to love you. They're going to love you all year. So if you can sponsor the local softball team and the soccer team, the local cookie fundraiser and bake off and charity thing for the books, and like getting involved in anything localized with the charities, school fundraisers, school events, school projects, immediately warms their heart, and they're going to share you and scream about you from the mountaintops. They're going to welcome, not just welcome you with open arms, they're going to be talking to everyone about you. And it's never like $10,000. It's always like $500, $300, $1,000, $500. It's never, they don't ever asking you for $8,000 for one thing. It's just a lot of little stuff of donating $200 to the local marathon that they're doing, and donating $1,000 or $500 worth of food or $1,000 of services. And remember, that's the retail price. So your actual cost basis is 20 to 50% of the numbers I'm saying. And so you donating food to the local PTA association meeting goes a long way, because you show up with $250 in sandwiches to the PTA meeting. What happens? Well, that's 32 people in the local town that are very a part of the community. And so that whole PTA meeting is very useful for you to sponsor.
I like it. All right, Zach, and then Ryan.
Hey, Dan. So my question, I guess, is how much do you do for paid advertising, and have you noticed a big difference since the new iOS 15? Has it changed your ads? Has it kind of changed your strategy? I've been going through the last couple of weeks and just kind of tweaking our stuff and trying to kind of hone in on our target customer. And for us, we hit the soccer mom area too. We're looking for a female 23 to 38, has 2 kids, works the job during the day, that type of thing. And so just trying to hone in on our target. And I'm just curious what your strategy is with that new update and the change they made.
Yep. So I use paid media only through agencies. I don't do paid media with our agency or within any company that we own. The reason I always work with agencies is because there's so many changes, and the agencies live and breathe the space. And so what's hard is when you bring in someone in-house or you hire someone that's good. Anybody that's really good at paid media doesn't need a job.
Makes sense.
I just want to be blunt. They don't.
Yeah.
They can sell phone cases, and they can sell pillows and alarm clocks and chairs and make way more money than you're ever going to pay them.
Yeah.
So there is no really good people in paid media that you're going to be able to afford to get because they can just go sell their own stuff. And so I like working with agencies. There's great ones that are out there that don't need huge budgets because they live and breathe the space and they know how to adjust and deal with the changes that happen in a real-time basis because they usually know about them in advance. And they're in the trenches and they're not just doing your paid media, they're doing it for lots of competitors as well and lots of other clients as well. And so they get a lot of information, a lot of data, and they have a lot more staff hyper focused on paid media, especially on certain channels. And so for me, the reason I do so much organic content is that I'm never at the mercy of the platforms that I'm paying. I'm making content that if it doesn't work out, it didn't really cost me much. And if it works out, fantastic. And in any version, it helps with everything that I'm doing for my brand. And so it is difficult right now. I don't know if they're going to keep the changes the way that they are because there is so much pushback and complaining about it. But these large corporations are slow and slow and short-sighted, which is weird because it should be a long-term game for them. They make way more money with us happy than they do with us yelling about their problems and changes. But I'm also never all in on any one platform. So I don't want, if Facebook changes something or Instagram changes something, I don't want any one platform to be able to hurt me or crush me.
Perfect. All right. Ryan, you're next. But Dan, first, before Ryan goes, how difficult will it be to get the Wolf of Wall Street on to come do one of these meetings for us?
I'll group chat you with him.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. All right, Ryan, you're up.
Hey, Dan, thanks for being on the call. This was awesome too. I own 2 Orange Theory fitness studios in Washington State. I know you're in Southern California, and with Matt, we still are wearing masks. And so I was wondering, is there any type of post that you've seen to put a more fun, shareable spin on it versus just the safety, we're following all the rules, yada, yada, kind of the boring social media post?
Yep. I try to, how do I say it? When we make our content, now that everyone knows all the mask related content and safety parts, we're like pushing on almost 2 years now. We don't have any of our staff talk about it anymore. It's just an implied scenario. And we also don't want to get into it because we don't want to alienate the people that are against the mask or against the situation. And so we we do avoid it at all costs. Not talking about that part. And if it has to be like that in the content because it's behind the scenes content and the customers are wearing, the clients are wearing the mask, which is perfectly fine. Nothing to show that safety is happening because people can make their own choice. We're just not pushing either version of the agenda on either side of what people should do or need to do. In a local town, people already know if they have to wear it or not. And so for the most part, if I can make the content without them wearing the mask, or can make the content without pushing that part of it, I like to leave it as implied just because we're so deep into it now that's been so long. If it was at the beginning, it'd be much different, but now we're 18, 19 months into this thing. I try to avoid that part of it. And so ultimately, the content that you're able to create where they don't have to wear the mask in that scenario, I would use that when you can. Whenever it's behind the scenes content and the city knows, or it's something that could get you in trouble, then I would definitely have everyone in the background wearing it, even if the people front facing are not.
That's what we've pretty much done, to just try to ignore it at this point, but thanks.
All right. I have another question. So we had someone from Everbowl on one of our calls, monthly calls a little while ago, and he was talking about how he's doing local influencer marketing, going to the high school, going to college. And I've heard you, Dan, take it to another level as we've been in some of the meetings, the mastermind meetings with you, where you're interviewing Floyd Moneyman Mayweather and Mike Tyson and all these famous athletes. And you've said, things have opened up. Athletes can now get paid when they're in college and high school. And so it's kind of opened up a whole new influencer world for these guys. How does that relate to the local business, local franchise?
Yep. So it's called NIL, name, image, likeness. And so NIL is only a few months old, where college athletes can finally get paid. But what's interesting about college athletes getting paid is you don't have to pay them very much. They just never made money before, ever. No college players have ever made money, at least not legally. And so because of that, you have a lot of college athletes that don't make much money. They're not allowed to work a job, which is crazy. They literally can't have a side job. So they have no money at all besides their overhead being covered, and they can't take anything. Now they finally can. And so I'll use the sports card store as the example. We're getting athletes that are crushing it and that have pretty good sized followings coming by the card shop for $200, $500, $300, $100 free just for some sports cards because they want to be a part of brands. And so they makes them feel like a business person. It makes them have cool content. It's still very, very new. Your local college basketball player, football player, soccer player, baseball star, etc., will do much more than if I had Kylie Jenner post for you. Your local star, because everyone that follows them is local to you or went to that school or is part of that school or has family going to that school. And so the local college athlete, local high school superstar, they're going to crush it for you because their fan base is literally in your local town, loves them, and they're not expensive. Your number one 19-year-old basketball star, unless they're off going to the NBA, they're just not going to be that expensive. And guess what? If they're going to the NBA, they still don't have any money. And so they're very, very useful to you. And the same concept applies for retired. Like in Salt Lake City, I want Karl Malone and John Stockton just as much as I want a college athlete that's fresh, right? I want someone from 20 years ago the same way I want someone. So in your local town, if you have ex-football star, ex-athlete, by the way, also ex-politicians, the old mayor of your town, the guy that owns 6 car dealerships, the lady that owns 12 salons, those are influencers too. And so local business people, local legends, local politicians, the local newscasters crush it because people watch them every day. So if you can get the local host of KUSI News in San Diego, it's been on the news for 19 years, they're fantastic. Having them come by, you're not going to pay them. Have them come by for give them free meals for the month, or give them free this, or give them free that, or have them come do a meet and greet at your location. Getting your local stars involved in your location is huge because their following is perfect for you. They're never going to be expensive. A lot of them are free just to be brand associated.
Wow, I never even thought about some of those. Guys, anybody have a last question or two? Justin Donalds about the hop on. Any last questions? Because I got another question for Dan. If you guys don't pop one in the chat or raise your hand real fast.
I see Brian.
All right.
Hey, Dan, so back to the NIL stuff, how directly relatable to your brand should that person be?
Yep.
And I ask that because we run a dance-based fitness boutique fitness center, and yeah, cheerleaders would be great, but they aren't typically on scholarships, so it doesn't pertain to them.
Yep. So it doesn't have to be your exact person. It's who's following them. And so if you want, let's say you want girls, for example, that are in a certain age range, getting the soccer players, getting the female soccer players, getting the female basketball players, their following is going to usually be some of your same style that like to dance. They do not have to be the person that represents what you do, or they don't have to be a person that dances or does exactly what your type of brand does. Their audience is what you want. And so is it good if you can get someone that's a dancer or ex-ballet or the local cheerleader for the basketball team in your town? Great, obviously, because they're the local cheerleader, or they're on the Utah Jazz cheerleading, whatever. Yes, their following is probably more dance related because they are dancing, but the local soccer player in Utah, the local basketball player in Utah, their audience, in most cases, you're just looking for eyeballs, and you're to a specific category, and everybody dances, everybody eats, everybody, your audience is a lot wider than you think when it comes to most franchises. That's kind of why you bought those brands, is that they are user friendly. They are easy for most people to want to buy. And so I would not be hyper focused on just worrying about someone that does exactly what you do in your core category, knowing that their audience is potential. And by the way, not just their audience, their audience is friends. So their audience might share or tag their friend that's your potential candidate as well.
Perfect. One last question from Yoel. He snuck it in. Is there a price range we should consult when paying these types of influencers?
Yeah, I would keep things in the hundreds of dollars, not thousands. So
Perfect.
yeah, you do not want to spend $5,000 with anybody. You don't need to. There's a lot of things you can do with $100, $500, $200, 300, 800, 1,000. Having them do 1 to 3 posts. Usually one post by itself is not enough. You want 2 or 3 posts to make people really feel a part of it. And things should be in the hundreds of dollars, not thousands.
Perfect. Hey, Dan, I want to introduce you to my friend Justin Donald, where we have mastermind together, and he has that other 50K investing mastermind. You two need to get to know each other. I'll make some intros after this, but Justin, meet my Dan, meet Justin.
Oh, there he is. I see him.
Great to meet you, Dan. I wish I could have heard more of your message here today. Your reputation precedes you. I've heard countless people singing your praises.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Dan, thank you so much, everyone. Tell Dan how much you appreciated him. Dan, so amazing. I'll follow up on the Wolf of Wall Street. That'd be amazing to get him in and chat with the group. Thanks again, my friend.